5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whenever and wherever you're watching or listening. This is the Awesemo NHL DFS Strategy Show, and I'm your host, Michael Clifford, aka Slim Cliffy. And joining me for the next hour to talk about how amazing the Canadian women's gold medal game was last night, our single entry assassin, Mr. Joshua Harris. Josh, how you doing today, buddy?
Oh, what was her? I always butcher her last name, but she was plus 250 to score a goal last night.
I don't know about
the road.
Maddie Philippe Poulin and Natalie Spooner scored for the Canadians.
That's it, yeah. I
You bet on Maddie Philippe Poulin to score last night?
I was bored.
I love it. I mean, I she's one of the engines of the team, so plus 250. You got to like that. Shout out to that Canadian women's hockey team winning the gold medal. It was in the middle of the night for me. If you're on the West Coast, you might have actually gotten to bed at a reasonable hour. Really good game. Nail biter right down to the end. It's one of the best rivalries in hockey. I love watching those games, and it doesn't matter if it's exhibition, if it's the Olympics. Whenever those two teams face off, it's appointment television.
Yeah, not that I get annoyed, but they're like, oh, this person's brothers in the NHL. It's like maybe I don't know. It just annoys me.
Yeah, I know. It's frustrating sometimes the way that they're presented, but I hope that they're making inroads. Those games are just incredible to watch. So shout out to that Canadian women's team winning the gold medal last night. But we're here to talk about the NHL. Just want to shout out Divine Mind sent me a DM this morning, took down the $12 single entry last night. Calgary won, Winnipeg won. Winnipeg went absolutely bonkers last night. It was mostly Mark Scheifele and Blake Wheeler. And then, of course, Paul Stastny got there with an empty net goal towards the end. I mean, that's just the way it goes. Sometimes an over-leveraged line is over-leveraged for a very good reason, right, Josh?
I don't know if the reasons were good last night, though. The Joe Eriksson line gave up their first goal at evens this year to Scheifele, and they weren't even really involved in that play. So, I don't even know. But, you played that line because of the penalty or the power play, and they only scored one power play goal. They got there, Scheifele did it at even strength. Stastny hit the empty net goal. It is what it is. You play those lines in GPPs hoping they get there. Doesn't really matter how they get there. I mean, they got there not the way we expected them to, but they still did. So if you played them, congrats to you. I played Calgary 1. They picked me up and carried me across the finish line with their empty net goal, full line goal as well, to give everyone the 3-point bonus and shot bonuses. And Calgary won 5-8. Train keeps on steaming through the station.
Yeah, not a problem whatsoever. I went Carolina power play stack last night. That just nuked me. I wasn't aware that Carolina was going to go out and try to start a fight on every third shift last night. Entertaining game to watch. Not really great for DFS. I didn't have a good night. Those things happen. Congrats to Divine Mind. Congrats to anybody that did do a bit of winning last night. We are presented by Yahoo Fantasy. They have been our sponsor this entire season. And if you are a first-time user, I know we might be getting some people over from NBA over the next week or so. If you're a first-time user over on Yahoo, you can get some free money out of them. So stick around for a little giveaway through Yahoo. And if you guys could, please throw us a thumbs up in the chat. Click that like button. It really does help us out. Click the subscribe button. Those subscriptions are what grow this channel and keep these shows coming on a regular basis. So click that subscribe button if you haven't already. And of course, if you want to get notified, click the bell and get alerts whenever we do go live on the air. All right, Josh, we do have a lot to talk about today. We have, I should mention, we do have some free premium tools and data up on the site. We do almost every day. Today for NHL, we have our NHL DFS projections. So if you want to check out what we have to offer, we have DraftKings projections, FanDuel, Yahoo. We project goalie saves, skater minutes, all that stuff. So head on over to awesemo.com and check out the free projections that we have up on the site today. We also have our NBA ownership rankings. So if you're playing, I think it's the last night of NBA tonight. So if you're playing a little NBA, just to get it out of your system before the All-Star break, NBA ownership rankings also up on Awesemo.com. We have a podcast. We have a giveaway through our podcast. Head on over to our Awesemo podcast channel. Leave a 5-star review with your Twitter handle or Awesemo username, and you will be entered to win a free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. And finally, we have a new show here at Awesemo. It is the NBA Prop Show. It'll come on live 30 minutes. Well, not live. It'll come on 30 minutes before the NBA Deeper Dive, which comes on later in the day. It is a 30-minute betting prop show. So if you're in a legal state for betting or just up here in Canada, NBA Prop Show for 30 minutes over on our Odd Shopper YouTube channel. So check us out if you want to get some NBA props action. All right, we got a massive 10-game slate ahead of us, Josh. Let's get right to these games. St. Louis, 3.9 implied goal total. They're going into Montreal. The Habs have a 2.3 implied goal total. Obviously, Tyler Toffoli is gone from Montreal. Josh Anderson appears to have replaced him on the top line. Since Martin St. Louis took over as the coach, Nick Suzuki has played 20 minutes in every game since. That's kind of appealing once you start playing that many minutes. On the flip side for St. Louis, at least on DraftKings, they're all very reasonably priced. And this total is getting up near 4. I know our top stacks doesn't have like super high ownership. I believe the second line around 10%, top line around 5%. I think those are going to come up during the day just because of how, like, both these lines on DraftKings are under, I guess we might have a new St. Louis top line. I'll let you talk about that. But both these lines on DraftKings are under $15,000. So I imagine they're fairly popular. What do you make of this game, Josh?
Yeah, the St. Louis second line, 14-9, coming off the game that they had, coming in at 10%. Like, maybe they're there, but it is a 10-game slate, so it's possible. But I honestly think they're going to be 15% plus tonight. This is probably the best matchup they could have after coming off the second best matchup they probably could have. So, you know, stars are aligning. You know, you really love this iteration of the line. It's probably the best iteration of the line they can put together with the players that they have. You know, even Rob Thomas shooting the puck. That's a new thing, and it's good. He's scoring. So, you know, it doesn't really matter what the matchup's going to be on Montreal. Montreal is terrible. It is what it is. Like, they've had a bunch of bad injuries. They let Phil Danault go, which is a massive loss for them. You know, Shea Weber, probably career-ending injury. Other stuff, you know, they traded for Dvorak. He's played half a season, so it is what it is. St. Louis too is in a excellent spot. I want to see another ownership run later on in the day. I feel like they're going to trend up for more ownership, and I think that's fine. There's plenty of ways to get different on this slate. There's nothing super expensive, so I'm fine with playing St. Louis 2 tonight. I think, you know, it's arguably one of the best spots. It's almost a 4 total on the road, which you almost never see. So St. Louis 2, completely fine. Jordan Kyrou left last game. He was a little bit hurt. He should play tonight, but he got moved down to the third line. It looks like they're going to be running Saad, O'Reilly, Perron, and they're probably going to get a bunch of Suzuki. Now, realistically, I'm not super interested in that line, but if the other like lineup places don't really pick up on it, that trio is going to be pretty low owned, and it's a 3.9 total. So, you know, if you want to maybe get some lower ownership and a high total against in a very, very good matchup, I keep an eye out for that. So if it is O'Reilly, Perron, Saad, and the lineup sites don't really pick up on it, I think that trio could be interesting play. Not much on the Montreal side. Maybe some, you know, Montreal 1 and MME, but like there's not really like super expensive stacks that you really need to get cheap with to fit them in. You know what I mean? Maybe I'll one off Cole Caulfield or one off Nick Suzuki just because he's playing massive minutes.
I'm kind of in the same boat with Montreal 1. I don't know if I would 3-man stack them. What I did write down was like Josh Anderson, for example, has a very unique skill set. He's a diet Tom Wilson, if you want to call it that, poor man's version of a Tom Wilson, which means like he can just bull rush the net and create on his own. Like that's just kind of his skill set. So if you want to use him as a one-off or something like that, I think that's fine. Like you said, Cole Caulfield's ice time jumped up. Like he'd only played 13, 14 minutes the first couple games, jumped up a lot in their last game. I wonder, now that he's with Suzuki, is he going to start playing 17, 18 minutes regularly? In that case, 3,100 for Caulfield is certainly just fine. This is about St. Louis, though. It is the St. Louis top line that's drawing me the most. 61% shot share, 63% scoring chance share in their minutes together this year. That St. Louis second line has just been absolutely dynamite. They're going to miss, whatever tough matchups you want to talk about. Like they're going to go in probably to, I don't know, Jake Evans and Brendan Gallagher, maybe. Like Gallagher's certainly not the player that he was a couple years ago. He was injured, hasn't been right. Jake Evans, he's not a second line center in the NHL. I think St. Louis too can definitely get it done. So right back to them coming off their big game in Ottawa. But I agree with you. I'm going to pay attention to warm-ups because obviously this is one of the first games to lock. If Sad, Perron, and O'Reilly is a line, it is going to be low owned because as of now that I see, the lineup sites still have their old lineup. So just pay attention to that St. Louis top line and pay attention to warm-ups because that particular trio could be very low owned in the highest total game on the night. All right, on the blue line, this is not a game where I'm really looking for my defenseman. I always say Justin Falk is fine. He's a guy that can both shoot and block over on DraftKings, and this is a pretty big total. I'm not necessarily running out to play him. What do you think about defensemen?
Yeah, Falk, I guess. I kind of like Colton Parayko as a one-off, you know what I mean? He plays 23, 25 minutes a night. 4,600 seems pretty reasonable for that. Torrey Krug, he's on the power play with the Tarasenko unit. He just doesn't do anything with them. I don't know why, because he was a pretty vital cog for the Bruins power play, and it just has not translated over to the Blues. So I don't know. I'd much rather play Falk or Parayko or dip all the way down to Mikkola. And on the Canadian side, there just isn't much there that I'm interested in.
Yeah, absolutely nothing for me from Montreal on the blue line. Let's get to this next game. Ottawa going into Buffalo. Ottawa is a 2.9 total. The Buffalo Sabres sitting with a 3.1 total. All right, this is a fairly interesting game from my perspective because I think there's stuff I want to play on both sides here, and the totals kind of indicate that. But this is a matchup of two fairly bad teams. What do you make of it here?
Yeah, so I'm assuming that Krebs, Cousins, Olsen going to go out against Paul Tkachuk, Brown.
I think so.
Yeah, and Brady Tkachuk under 7K, Connor Brown 3,700 top power play. I do really like Ottawa one here. I don't know if you need to 3-man stack them. I think one-offing Connor Brown or 2-manning him with Brady Tkachuk is a pretty good 2-man here. It's Craig Anderson in 2022. I liked Craig Anderson in 2011. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's just the Sabres have some wild goalie issues. So I kind of like the Senators here. 2.9 total on the road is pretty good for the Senators. So I do like that top line. That second line's fine. Aforementioned Stützle, Gaudette. The problem is they're going to get Tage Thompson, Tuck, and Skinner, which has been a very good line. So I think, anything on the Senators side will be some sort of one-off to 2, maybe 3-man them in MME on Ottawa 1. On the Buffalo side, I do really like that top line for Buffalo. They're coming in around 12, 13%, which is, right around where they are for the top stack percentage. So there's a little bit of positive leverage there. They're going to get the Formenton Stützle Gaudette matchup. And unsurprisingly, Formenton Gaudette, very high event both ways. So yeah, Tage Thompson has much better numbers at home than he does on the road. And Alex Tuck is really coming into his own now. He seems like he's into the flow of things and getting those top line minutes with, good line mates. Only doing good things for him. So I like both top lines in this game. And, they're two bad teams, but, bad teams score goals too.
It is both top lines in this game. I'll kind of say that I'm also interested in like some sort of Ottawa power play stack. If you want to throw in Stützle with Kachuk for some additional power play stacking, I think that's just fine. Buffalo's penalty kill, it's typically not very great. Expected goals against in the bottom 5 of the league over the last 6 weeks. Actual goals against also in the bottom 5 of the league over the last 6 weeks. That Buffalo penalty kill could definitely be had. So, I'm definitely fine with just full stacking the top line. The Ottawa top line, small sample, but generating 37 scoring chances per 60 minutes and controlling 64% of the scoring chances. That's Paul, Brown, and Kachuk, or just Paul and Kachuk, sorry. Pretty good numbers together. And Buffalo's second line, there's no iteration of that has been good this year. So I'm in on the Ottawa top line, Buffalo top line as well. Over their last 100 minutes, 3.5 expected goals for per 60 minutes, controlling nearly 60% of the expected goal share. I agree with you. I think this is a game about both top lines. I think you're fine. Like I said, I think you're fine to somewhat like Ottawa power play stack. It's just, I'm still kind of worried about them not having Thomas Chabot. That's the one thing kind of holding me back here is I'm still worried about them moving the puck. So I don't know if I'm going to have as much Ottawa 1 as I thought. I definitely prefer Buffalo 1 of the 2 lines in this game. On the blue line, I don't know what you want to do with any of the Ottawa defensemen here, because this feels like a game where Nick Holden could just bust out for 7 block shots or something like that. You know what I mean? But I don't know exactly where I want to go with the blue liners. Do you have any idea?
Really, I mean, everyone was on Brandstrom last game when he's min price. He only played 18 minutes, which is fine for min price on the top power play, but he's still on that third pair at 2,700. I guess that's still fine for 18 minutes, but I'd much prefer him getting 21, 22 minutes on the top pair to really feel comfortable with it. Zaitsev, I guess, is fine for block shots at 3,300. Holden, Zub is a little expensive. So I don't know if I'm really going to prioritize anyone on the Ottawa blue line. On the Sabre side, I like Dahlin if you want to correlate. Casey Fitzgerald has been, a cash, people have been talking about Casey Fitzgerald in cash in our Discord for the past few games, and he's still in price. So sure.
I don't think there's been a player talked about more in our Discord this week than Casey Fitzgerald. It's actually kind of wild. All right, let's just jump ahead to our next game. Detroit 2.5 implied goal total. Going into New York, the Rangers have a 3.4 implied goal total. All right. The Rangers, since January 1st, 29th by expected goals against, 28th by shot attempts against, a worse expected goal share than the Columbus Blue Jackets. And yet, Igor Shesterkin. That's the problem here. I don't think the Rangers are a very good team, and I don't think you think the Rangers are a very good team. The problem is that Igor Shesterkin looks like he might be the best goalie, to debut in the NHL, since Andrei Vasilevsky. That's kind of the big problem for me with Detroit here. What do you think of this game?
Yeah, since I was old enough to remember hockey as a Rangers fan, the Rangers have gone from Mike Richter to Henrik Lundqvist to Igor Shesterkin. Have they ever put a good team around them since '94? No.
I mean, they may eventually, right? I mean, JT Miller gets traded there. Let's see what happens.
They had Miller.
Yeah, that's the best part.
Yeah. Anyway, Igor Shesterkin, for whatever reason, is priced down to 6,900. I think, he's an obvious lock for cash. It's an interesting dilemma for GPPs here. One, he's going to be very popular. If he's under 30% tonight, I'd be shocked in MME. You know what I mean? So you're going to have to decide, do you want Igor? Do you not want to play Igor? And hope he busts? I don't know. That's a question you're going to have to decide at that price. He's obviously fine to play. He's obviously fine to fade if you think he's going to bust. Now, the Rangers' second line, since Barclay Goodrow has moved there, 38 scoring chances against, 15 high danger chances against, and 3.39 expected goals against per 60. Absolutely bailed out by Igor. Now they're going to get that Detroit second line. They're coming in at 0.5% owned right now. I think, you know how I talk about like playing the goalie against the chalk stack isn't leverage. I think playing a very low owned stack against the chalk goalie is a nice way to get some leverage. Now, could it blow up in your face? Absolutely. And in 1 to 3, I don't think you need to do it. It's a 10-game slate. You don't have to, galaxy brain against the probable Vezina winner. But in MME, like Detroit 2, in my mix. 20 max, 150. Even if you do 1 to 20, you're getting 10 times the field. I think you can even go higher than that, do 2, 20, 3, 20, whatever it is, 15, 20%. Like, because if they go off and they knock out Shesterkin while going off, like you're way ahead of everybody. So I think it's a good risk in MME. In 1 to 3, I don't think you have to, get that wild. So Detroit 2 for me. And then you see these Rangers ownerships, they're all in double digits in the top 6. Like I just don't want to play Rangers on a 10-game slate with double-digit ownerships. They're awful 5-on-5. The only thing I may do in MME would be power play stack, because that's the only way they score goals nowadays is, power play stack. I'm just waiting for Igor to hit the empty net goal. Like, it's going to happen because no one else can score goals. So Igor's just going to be like, you know what? Empty net goal. So Detroit 2, honestly, my favorite stack from this game. I'm not going to have anything from this game 1 to 3 outside of, maybe Blue Liners or Igor.
Yeah, I mean, obviously 6,900 Igor and DraftKings. What do you say about that? He is going to be crazy owned. It is a good leverage spot for Detroit. If they do end up a top 2 stack, like I think 30% honestly might be light on Igor. Like he was 30% in his last game, and it was like an 8-game slate or something like that, wasn't it?
And he was mid sevens then too. So
yeah,
now he's like under 7K in a
I could honestly see Shesterkin pushing, I don't know, 40%.
Oh,
maybe closer to 50. Like, it's crazy. It's just one of those absolutely egregious mispricings.
And it wasn't even like they flip-flopped the Rangers and the Wings pricing, because Bryce is 6,900 too. Whoever starts for the Wings is under 7K. So it wasn't like they inputted the Vegas odds wrong. They just were just like, nah, let's put a free square in there and let the chaos unfold.
Yeah, so there is some chaos unfolding about that. I agree with you on the Rangers. I would definitely power play stack here. It is the way that they have been scoring a lot of their goals. And, the Detroit penalty kill, it hasn't been god awful, let's say, but, certainly not elite. And they do take their fair share of penalties. So the Rangers power play stack, I agree with. I do like Detroit too in this game. I'm going to be considering them in my 20 maxes. I'm not saying I'm playing them for sure. There's 20 teams on this slate. I only have 20 lineups, but they're absolutely going to be in consideration for a filler. The problem with me is that their numbers have started to slide a bit. 48% shot share, 45% of the expected goals over their last 100 minutes. Like, they started off with like 4 or 5 really good games and then have kind of fallen off. So like, I know it's a good matchup going into Rangers 2, but Rangers 2 might also have a good matchup going into Detroit 2 on the other side. So I'm going to be considering them for sure. I wouldn't be playing a lot of them. Like, if I'm 20 maxing tonight, usually my filler stacks, I'll have like 20% of them or something like that. I would not have 25% of Detroit 2 here tonight. I'll have 10% at the absolute most. So maybe some Detroit 2 Rangers power play stack. On the blue line, Philip Hronek taking off COVID IR, but he's 4K. That feels a little bit expensive to me for a guy that's, production's been a problem. Trouba and Fox kind of switched prices from the last game. What do you think here?
Yeah, I mean, I'm out on the Detroit defenseman. I like that Zach Jones is in the lineup. He's a very good puck move, like underrated puck mover. That would definitely help if he moves up the lineup. But for now, it's going to be Fox with a power play stack or one-off from Trouba.
Yep, perfectly fine. All right. Daytona is right around the corner, and we are offering our Awesemo Plus NASCAR packages for less than $2 per cup race this season. That's $70 for a full year of Awesemo Plus NASCAR. This pass gives you access to our driver projections, our ownership projections, our top drivers tool, and it'll give you the edge you need in NASCAR DFS. Use the promo code green flag, all capital letters, all one word at checkout, or simply click the link in the description of this video to activate. This offer is valid through this Sunday, February 20th. That's all capital letters, all one word, green flag at checkout for $70 for a full year of Awesemo Plus Platinum. Let's get to this next game. Pittsburgh, 2.9 implied goal total. Going into Toronto, the Toronto Maple Leafs have a 3.5 implied goal total. Pittsburgh changed up their lines a little bit through Dan Heinen and Jeff Carter on the second line with Evgeny Malkin. Captain Brock McGinn down on the third line with Evan Rodriguez. Top line stays the same. No changes for the Leafs. Looks like it's going to be Campbell against Chari in net. Lots of goal scoring across both lineups here, but I look at Pittsburgh one's ownership, at least on DraftKings, almost none. I look at Toronto one's ownership over on DraftKings, under 5%. Vegas is expecting 6.5 goals in this game, and the top lines are coming in at 5% combined ownership. Talk to me here, Josh.
Oh, my fiance isn't watching this because she thinks I'm in love with Austin Matthews.
Well,
Maybe I am.
You?
Maybe.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
He just needs to shave his head. Like, someone needs to have the hairline conversation with him. But anyway, the Pittsburgh top line, and I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but they've been pretty leaky defensively for the past few weeks. Like, they haven't been great. They're still not awful, but like, if you can tell me I can get Toronto one at 3.45% in a 3.5 total, like this iteration of the Matthews line, Bunting, Matthews, and Marner, their numbers are insane. So I think of the top lines, I think I much prefer Toronto one tonight. And if you're gonna tell me I can get them at 5%, I'm definitely gonna be interested. They're a little pricey, but there's tons, and I mean tons of mid-range stacks that you can fit them with. So really, price isn't a factor. I really do like Toronto one tonight, and I do like Toronto two. William Nylander 5K is another interesting price on today's slate. Him and Tavares 11.7 for the two of them. Kerfoot's min price. Like if you need to add them on for to make for some savings, sure. That line's 14-2. Sure. Gonna get Malkin, Carter, Heinen. I think that's a good line to attack. And I'm not a big believer in the Penguins goalies. Like Yari, to me, isn't a great goalie. So I think I like the Leafs here. And their ownership is good. Like with the ownership, I'd rather go to the top line. But if you need some savings, that second line is fine as well. On the Penguins side, I would play in 1 to 3. I don't know if I'd get to pit one, but I would definitely have them in my mix in MME, just because Jack Campbell's been absolutely awful for the past 6 weeks. And, Toronto's blue line isn't great. So I think, having a fully correlated line like pit one coming in under 1%, you don't need much to get over the field here. And, they have slate breaking potential. If you can get a slate breaker at 1%, I think you're doing pretty good. So pit one and MME for me, and I'm definitely considering Toronto top 6. Are muted, Mikey.
Both top lines are definitely in play for me in this game. Yeah, it's an ownership thing. It's 100% an ownership thing. Like you said, if you can give me the Toronto top line, I don't care the matchup. If they're at home in a 10-game slate at 5%, I'm gonna play them. Now it's just a matter of how much I'm going to play them and exactly what the roster construction is going to be. But that line is far too good. Like over 70 shot attempts per 60 minutes, approaching 4 expected goals, like 3.5 to 4 expected goals per 60 minutes. That line is just absolutely absurd offensively. And as you mentioned, Pittsburgh's top line still pretty good, but 2.5 expected goals against per 60 minutes over their last 100 minutes together. That's below average defensively. So I think Pittsburgh can be had here tonight. I really do like that Toronto top line here. I don't know if I would necessarily power play stack because Pittsburgh's penalty kill is very, very good. So, I don't know if this is a case where I would, add in John Tavares or add, I think Nylander's fine because he's cheap enough, but This is definitely a case where I would just stack the even strength line. I would do the same thing on the other side. Pittsburgh won. And it's a case where you don't need a lot of them. If you're playing 150 lineups, get in 5 Pittsburgh 1 lineups and you'll be ahead of the field by quite a bit. So I do like both top lines here. Toronto top line, definitely more than Pittsburgh. On the blue line, one guy I want to bring up, and I know he's had a really, really bad season, but Jake Muzzin, he was injured, missed a bunch of games, came back, has 8 shots and 6 blocks in 3 games. I don't know if there's a stretch of games this season where he's had 8 shots in 3 games. You know what I mean? I know he has, but it just feels like he hasn't. I don't know. Maybe he just needed a little bit of a rest. I'm going to give it some more time, but maybe the old Muzzman is back in play for us. What do you think?
Yeah, and that's probably about it.
Yeah.
I don't think you need to prioritize Morgan Riley or Chris Letang tonight. I mean, obviously, if you want to correlate, I think Letang over Riley. I'd rather put Letang in Pit 1 stacks more than I put Riley in Toronto 1 stacks. But not much from the blue line in this game, in terms of one-off. So I probably just am gonna, take a pass.
Yep, I agree with that. Next game, Washington, 3.4 implied goal total going into Philly. The Flyers have a 2.6 implied goal total. Rasmus Ristolainen still hurt. Obviously, Ryan Ellis is still out. What that has forced the Philly defense to do is basically run a 3-man rotation of Provorov, Braun, and Sanheim, with Provorov playing nearly 30 minutes every night. I just thought I'd note that because it does make for an interesting Philly defense rotation as far as DFS value goes. Washington changed up their lines a little bit. Connor Sheary jumping to the top line for the Caps. Tom Wilson down to the second line with Backstrom and Joe Snively. I find it interesting that the Caps total is 3.4. I know the Flyers have been real bad. Sorry, Mike. But it's not as if the Caps have been absolutely decimating teams like they were back in October and November. So what do you think here, Josh?
Yeah, I don't like this game. I don't think I would full stack anything on the Cap side. I just, Kuznetsov's been so bad recently.
I just want to mention that 21 points in his last 27 games, which is like a 62 point, 63 point pace or whatever. That's fine. That's definitely not really great for your DFS center.
Yeah, I think if I do anything, honestly, it one off Ovechkin or do Ovechkin, Backstrom, Carlson. That's probably the extent of the Caps I'm playing tonight. I think Ovechkin under 10% is an interesting one-off. He's always an interesting one-off because, like you saw in his last game against the Predators, he got there and no one else did. So, if anyone can do it, it's him. I think one-offing him, especially when he's low-owned on a big slate, is always an interesting idea. On the Flyer side, maybe some Flyers top line. I just can't prioritize the Flyers either. In MME, maybe some of the top line, maybe some of the second line. But honestly, of the 10 games on the slate, I think, this is one of the ones where I'm not going to prioritize anything at all.
It is an interesting game in that sense because, Washington with a huge total probably should draw our interest. The one thing I will say is that Connor Sheary and Alex Ovechkin just haven't played well together this year. Sheary's been, I think he's played pretty well on the Backstrom line, sort of in a pseudo checking line role. When he's been playing with Alex Ovechkin this year, the team is controlling 47% of the shot attempts, 44% of the scoring chances. That's just flat out bad. That's not context adjusted. That's just bad anywhere. That makes me kind of like the Philly top line here tonight. And it feels crazy saying that, right? Because, obviously they haven't been super good. The Philly top line, 2.7 expected goals for per 60 minutes. At least Atkinson and Giroux together this year. 55% expected goal share. Those are good numbers. I think Philly 1 is definitely, it's at least a consideration for me here tonight. They're not at the top of my pile for priorities. This isn't a line I'm building around or anything like that, but could I see myself getting to like 15% Philly one as, they're only 15-4 on DraftKings. They're a pseudo filler tonight. Could I see myself getting to like, like I said, 10-15% Philly one in this matchup? Yeah, absolutely. The Achilles heel for Washington all season long has been the goaltending. So you give me a weakened top line with, iffy goaltending, I'll take my chances. So I do kind of like a little bit of Philly one here tonight. On the other side, like I honestly don't even know what to do with the Caps anymore. I really don't. I don't like the top line that they have together. Like I said, with Connor Sheary there, the second line Backstrom Wilson. So maybe if you want to do some sort of power play Ovechkin Backstrom Wilson stack or something like that, or just 2-man Ovechkin Carlson, I think that's fine. One off Ovechkin, I think that's fine. I'm with you. I'm not running out to play Washington tonight. It always seems like when I'm not super interested in Washington, they nuke, and when I am super interested in Washington, they don't. So I just want everybody just to be real cautious about that.
These lines are just woof. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like they're putting together a top six like two lines that are just like, wow, those are really good.
They need Oshie and Mantha back ASAP.
Yeah.
On the blue line, then I saw Justin Schultz. I believe he's a game time decision for tonight. If Schultz is out, that probably means more minutes for somebody like Orlov or, even like a TVR, Trevor Van Riemsdyk. We'll see what happens there. But honestly, in this game, I think it's probably just some one-off John Carlson, and that's about it. Like, I guess Justin Braun could get there on blocks if you're punting, but I think it's just Carlson for me.
I am in agreement with everything you just said there. I have nothing to add with these defensemen.
I honestly, I kind of miss Jonas Siegenthaler. We have partnered with Yahoo Fantasy this NHL season to bring you some great offers. Check out our exclusive limited time offer, which gets you 1 free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. To qualify, you need to be new to Yahoo, sign up for an account via the link below, deposit and play. That's it. Yahoo will send us your name after you've played in your first paid contest, and we will reach out via email with your coupon. If you'd like to speed up the process of getting access, email support@awesemo.com and we'll get you set up right away. You can also claim a free $10 of site credit by clicking the link in the video description below, and that can be used to enter any Yahoo contest, including tonight's $2,000 NHL Baller. Make sure to use our DFS tools and projections designed specifically for Yahoo to give yourself the best shot at winning big. And as I mentioned earlier, projections are free up on the site today, part of our free premium tools that we do post every day. So if you want to check out our Yahoo NHL projections as well as DraftKings and FanDuel, just head on over to awesemo.com. All right, let's get to this next game, Josh. We've got the Boston Bruins with a 2.6 implied goal total going into New York to face the Islanders. The New York Islanders have a 2.7 implied goal total. The big news here is the return of Patrice Bergeron. It looked like he might miss a little bit of time with a concussion, but he's back not too long. Back on the top line with Taylor Hall and David Pasternak. I know it's not a great matchup, and I know Brad Marchand is still suspended, and as good as Taylor Hall is, he's not Brad Marchand. But I see another top line that I really like coming in with very low single-digit ownership. I'm getting tempted. What do you think, Josh?
Yeah, I agree. Like, their numbers, they have like a 65-minute sample, and their numbers are very good. The expected numbers are good. Taylor Hall has his issues finishing. Earmuffs, Jake. But like, I don't know. Like, the Islanders aren't a very good team. They're not very good defensively. I don't know if there's a line that the Islanders can send out that can contain this line. Whether Boston scores or not is the question. But for 3-4%, I want to find out if they can score. And that's, if they're coming in double digits and the 2.6 total in the row, I'll be like, I'll wait a game. But 3% against the Islanders in this economy on a 10-game slate, like, I'm very interested in Boston one tonight. I don't know, anytime you can get Bergeron and Pasternak together, like, Bergeron's price has come down because he's been hurt. Taylor Hall's only 4,100. They're fully correlated. Like, the Islanders penalty kill is good, but the Boston power play, the top unit's going to see, like, if the Islanders do take penalties, like the top unit's going to see most of that time. So I don't know. Boston one's definitely on my short list today. And I hope the ownership stays where it is, because that's a really nice ownership for a very good line in a good matchup. So Boston one for me, definitely interested. And then the Islanders, Josh Bailey's hurt. So we don't know lines. Your guess is going to be good as mine. Maybe Palmieri moves up. Maybe Parisi moves up. Maybe Clutterbuck moves back up. We just don't know. So, like, I don't have too much interest in the Islanders anyway, but this is one of those things like where I want to wait and see what the lines are. And even then, like, I'm not going to be super interested in the Islanders.
Yeah, I want to say that first off is that I'm not terribly interested on the Islanders here. But it would make a difference what they do with their lineup, right? Because this is a team that sends out its top line against the bottom 6 of the opposition. So, you know, if Kyle Palmieri moves up to the top line with Liam Barzal, and those guys are going out against Eric Holla and Nick Foligno, then yes, I would have, you know, quite a bit of interest in the Islanders top line. But if it's Cal Clutterbuck on the top, that's why I'll say this. I think it's going to be Kyle Palmieri. And this is why, is that this is a team that sends out their 4th line against the opposing top line. And this is a major league top line coming into town tonight. I don't know if they break up that checking line, you know, just to throw Clutterbuck on the top line. I think they might keep them together for that checking line against Bergeron. And that's why I think Palmieri might find his way to the top line. That's just conjecture on my part. We'll see when actual warmups hit. But yeah, if it's Barzal, Lee, Palmieri going out against Boston's bottom 6, I have quite a bit of interest. Also interest in the Boston top line as well. Like you said, dominant in their minutes together. I don't know if I'm going to be dipping down to the depth. Like Parise, Pajot, Wahlstrom, we've typically played them for the power play exposure. They're broken up on the power play now. One on the top unit, one on this, and 2 on the second unit. Neither of the, you know, the guy by himself is Pajot, so you don't get the center correlation that you need on the site. So I think it's just Islanders top line or Boston top line for me out of this game. Islanders top line, that completely depends on Kyle Palmieri getting to the top line. Almost anybody else is a pass. I guess Wahlstrom could be fine. On the blue line, the Islanders are really spreading out their defensemen, like the time on ice. I don't know if I really want to play like a super expensive Dobson here tonight, or even a reasonably expensive Pulak. I think if I'm playing any Islanders, I'm just dumping right down to like a Mayfield or a Pellick or something like that. On the Boston side, it'd be correlating McAvoy or nothing. Honestly, I don't like any of the defensemen out of this game. What do you think?
Either. I'd probably just punt Mayfield and call it a day if I needed a punt, and then I look elsewhere for anyone else.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Let's move along. Seattle, 2.6 implied goal total. Going into Winnipeg, the Jets have a 3.3 implied goal total. This is a back-to-back for Winnipeg. I also assume Eric Comrie is going to be the starter here tonight, because this is an easily winnable game for the Jets, even with Hellebuck not starting. So it's probably a back-to-back. It's a back-to-back for Winnipeg, probably with Eric Comrie starting. And this is 5 in 7 nights for the Jets. That is a lot of hockey, but it's also not a very good Seattle team coming into town. I don't know what to make of this game, Josh. Why don't you clear it up for us?
I don't know. I need like a flow chart for Winnipeg one. Is this a good matchup? Yes. Should I play them then? No. Is this a bad matchup for Winnipeg one? Yes. Should I play them? Yes. Like, I think that's the flow chart for Winnipeg one. Is this a good matchup? Yes. Do I play them? That means no. You know what I mean? Like, so like, I don't know. I never know what to do with them. They get there more often than not in bad matchups, like yesterday. And I don't know. Again, like, if I was going to go to anything on the Jet side, it's going to be Connor Dubois. Like, I just like them better. I think they're, you know, they have better numbers together 5-on-5. They have power play correlation. You know, Cole Perfetti scored yesterday, which was nice to see, you know, because, you know, Connor and Dubois just shoot the puck and Perfetti's just hanging out most of the time. So he scored. So Winnipeg 2 for me. If I'm just going to anything, if you want to go to Winnipeg 1, sure, go for it. But like, I don't want to play Shifley Wheeler on a 10-game slate on a back-to-back. Despite the matchup, I'm going to go to Connor Dubois on the Kraken side, like there's these lines are just I just can't. Like they moved McCann off the top line, they moved Wenberg there. Like I just don't want to play the top line now with Wenberg and Marcus Johansson. Like, no thanks. Maybe some Donato, McCann, Donskoy. Like I don't mind that, but like again, like there isn't any crazy expensive spots that need the savings for to go all the way down to Donato McCann. So like I don't know if I'm gonna have any Kraken tonight. Maybe I'll have a little bit of MME if I set my rules and this and that and I was playing 20 to 150 and I got in there organically, then sure. But like I don't think I'm gonna, go out of my way to make a rule to get some Seattle Kraken in tonight.
When I look at Seattle, the only line I have any interest in is that second line, Donato, McCann, Donskoy. The reason for that is McCann's actually having a fairly good season. If you look at his underlying numbers, like shot impacts both offensively and defensively, he's having a good season. It's just almost no one else in Seattle is having a good season. So it's really hard for him to kind of stand out by himself. The one thing Ryan Donato has been doing a lot of lately is shooting. In calendar 2022, we're 7 weeks in now. Ryan Donato is top 30 in the league in shot rate per 60 minutes. Like I said, we're 7 weeks into this year now. Like Donato hasn't stopped shooting. So if I were to look anywhere on the Seattle side, it would be like a two-man of Donato and McCann. We talked about the Winnipeg second line, how their numbers were starting to come down, at least offensively. We talked about that on yesterday's show. Maybe they can be had here by Seattle. If you want to one-off Donato, I think he's the goal scorer on that line. I don't mind Seattle too. I wouldn't play him in 1 to 3 or anything like that. They're going to be my consideration for a 20 max filler. Not saying I'm playing, it's another one of those Detroit 2 things. I'm not saying I'm playing them for sure, but they are going to be one of the fillers that I'm considering for my heavy stacks here tonight. But this is, it's about Winnipeg. It's about the Winnipeg. I think it's about the Winnipeg power play, especially Seattle easily has a bottom 10 penalty kill in the league. They've started to take more penalties, way more penalties as the season has gone on. So, I think you're fine to Winnipeg power play stack again here tonight, as you were last night. So Winnipeg power play for sure. Maybe some Seattle too, if you're playing 20 max, 50 lineups, 150, whatever it might be. You don't need a lot of them. Looks like they're coming in with under 2% ownership. And the two guys I would focus on more are Donato and McCann. On the blue line, my word, is this a wasteland? Like, honestly, I thought Boston and the Islanders were bad for defensemen. This might be worse. I don't want to play anybody. Does anybody stick out to you?
No, I think Morrissey, I guess, is fine in a power play stack. Other than that,
for correlating, yeah.
Like Carson Soucy's back in, and they're scratching Hayden Fleury after giving him 19 minutes, and he actually had 4 shots on goal and 3 blocks. Like, give the guy a shot. No interest on the Seattle side. I guess Soucy's fine at 3K, but like he's on the third pair with Alexiak, so minutes might be a concern.
All right. Columbus, 2.9 implied goal total going into Chicago. The Blackhawks have a 3.1 implied goal total. Honestly, I think this is the fiesta of the night. I am really excited for this game. We have Chicago One's ownership absolutely through the roof right now. I guess we'll see with more ownership runs, but they are super cheap at home against a bad Columbus team with a 3.1 total. So I definitely see where they're coming from. But let's not forget on the other side, Columbus similarly has a 2.9 total, similarly facing an also bad team. What do you like here, Josh?
Oh, man. Like, Kane's price is an interesting dilemma, I guess. 6,200, very cheap for Patty Kane. He's with Dylan Strome, Brandon Hagel, fully correlated there. They're 13K to full stack on DK. So I understand where the ownership's coming from. I'm just not a huge fan of stacking the Hawks. If you want to stack the Hawks, be my guest. Like, just be aware what you're doing. There's plenty of ways to get different on the slate. I don't know. I like this top line for Columbus here. Line Jenner, Bjorkstrand. They've been high event, yes. But like, what line with Patrick Line isn't high event both ways? And they're still their Corsi numbers are above 50%, which is very good for a line. So I don't know. It's not like the Hawks are a good team. They're very bad defensively. It's a very good power play spot. Columbus 1 is fully correlated, and that line's coming in at 3%. I'd much rather play Columbus 1 at 3% than Chicago 1 at 24% or whatever it is. It's a similar total, and I think, I had to ask about Arvid Soderblom before the show, but he's apparently a pretty good prospect, whatever that means. You know what I mean? Like goalies you don't really know until you get them into the games. And
I mean, let's put it this way. Caden Primo in Montreal is a very good prospect as well. And he's gotten absolutely blown up every single game he's played for Montreal. So
yeah, and maybe that's not Primo's fault because the team in front of him is not very good. And the team in front of Soderblom tonight is not going to be very good. So both top lines are in play for me, but I much prefer in 1 to 3 playing Columbus 1 for 3% compared to the 25% or whatever it is with Chicago 1. You want to one-off Alex DeBrincat. I much rather one-off Alex DeBrincat than one-off 28% Patrick Kane.
Yeah, I agree with that. I do like the Columbus top line here. Not a huge sample, approaching 50 minutes, 3.4 expected goals per 60 minutes, controlling 58% of the shot attempts. They've been very, very good. Going up against that Chicago second line, not a huge sample, all of them together, but just Kirby Dach and Mackenzie Entwistle do have a sample together. And they're controlling 35% of the shot attempts in their sample together. Alex DeBrincat is a very good player. No one can save that line from 35% shot share. That's going to be going into the Columbus 1 line. So I like Columbus 1 in this matchup. I do like Chicago's top line. Like, I'm not going to say I don't. They're in a very good spot. The numbers are fine, not terrible, especially not for Chicago. It's just the ownership, right? If it's 20 to 25% on a 10-game slate, I think that's fadeable unless you're getting to like 150 lineups or something like that. So I'm going to be making a decision about Chicago. I really do like the Columbus top line more than anything. On the blue line, not really anything that sticks out to me. Like somebody like Connor Murphy will always definitely be somebody I look at. Anybody else?
I mean, I think like Werenski is super expensive tonight, but I think paying up for him is going to get you on a very unique track tonight. And this is a good power play spot. He's going to play, 25, 26 minutes. So Werenski, it's really about it. Like Calvin DeHaan, Connor Murphy, obviously, Jake McCabe, fine. Seth Jones, 6,700. Like there's at least playable guys here. Like Bachwist at 4K is interesting to me. Like it's not like these other games where just like, nope. Like there's playable guys here at least.
Yeah, there is for sure. Bobby Boom in chat, $5 super chat. Thank you very much for that. Appreciate it. It says top 5 stacks in the leverage tool and your favorite 1% contrarian stack for SE. I don't want to give away all the leverage stacks because those are trade secrets for today. But I will give, like we said, in the Toronto-Pittsburgh game, Toronto and Pittsburgh's top lines are the top 2 leverage stacks on this entire slate. Boston as well, that we talked about, bad matchup, but also a very good leverage line on this slate. So those are some of the lines that we might want to look at. For a 1% owned line, obviously there are going to be a lot of them on this slate. I will say if Kyle Palmieri is on the top line for the Islanders, I do like that Islanders top line in this game. Other than that, I might take a stab on Seattle too. What do you like?
Anaheim second line, Milano, Zegras, Raquel against, some Edmonton depth could get a little spicy, but yeah, I mean, you're asking for under 1%. I don't know if I'm going to play them 1 to 3, but for under 1%, definitely going to take a chance.
Yep. I like that. Thank you very much for the super chat, Bobby Boom. Good luck tonight. We have an Awesemo Hall of Fame here at Awesemo.com where we like to celebrate our winners. And if you want to get into the Awesemo Hall of Fame, this is how you do it. Download the Awesemo avatar from Awesemo.com/avatar. Place in the top 3 of a contest with at least 5,000 contestants, and then you tweet those wins to the Awesemo Hoff account. That's Awesemo HOF over on Twitter. You'll see Timothy Beachler won the $100,000 micro over on NBA for 10 grand and the 5K to first in the 25-cent micro winner take all. Congrats to Timothy Beachler. That was an awesome hit. The next one is it's him again in the micro max. I assume it's the same contest. It might not be. First place for NDFS Noob, $2,500 on Wednesday night in NBA off a $2.22 entry. So if you finish in the top 3 of a contest with at least 5,000 contests, just let us know at Awesemo Hoff on Twitter. Coming up, as I mentioned, we have the we call it the Locks Before Lock NBA Prop Show at 4:30 Eastern, and then your NBA double dose of the deeper dive and live before lock after that. All right, Josh, Anaheim, 2.6 implied goal total going into Edmonton. The Oilers have a 3.8 implied goal total. We're getting to the point where there's a decent enough sample with Evander Kane in the lineup, and that Edmonton second line, boy howdy, do they like racing up and down the ice. For me in this game, with Anaheim's terrible penalty kill, it's Edmonton's power play that sticks out. But with Edmonton being so back and forth on that second line, I think I like the Anaheim second line as well that you just mentioned in the 1% stacks. What do you see in this game?
Yeah, they've been playing some crazy high-paced hockey. 15 high danger chances against for 63.41 expected goals against, 35 scoring chances against. That is crazy. But they also have 40 scoring chances for, 18 high danger chances for, 3.28 expected goals for per 60. Like, it's just straight up 3-on-3 hockey out there. Like, there's no defense. But that being said, like, yeah, that would put the second line into play. I think the Oilers coach is kind of realizing that they just aren't playing defense. So I'm hoping that Draisaitl line may get some Isaac Lundestrom matchups. I would really like that for the Edmonton second line. Kind of hoping they realize that Fogle, Nugent Hopkins, Derek Ryan can't get any worse defensively there. So I hope they get some Milano Zegras. So if that's the case, I do like Edmonton too, getting the depth of the Ducks. I think, obviously Edmonton won. Their numbers are ridiculous. They still have over a 4.1 expected goals per 60. I think you can power play stack. Dallas Eakins kind of hinted that Gibson's going to start again. That's why they pulled him. They're like, we're not coming back. We want you for tomorrow. He's 6,800. That could be a very interesting pivot off Igor tonight in GPPs. So yeah, I like the Edmonton top 6, Edmonton power play. I do like the Ducks second line, especially if they do see some of that Kane line, especially coming under 1%. They have very good numbers together. So, I'll take some stabs in MME on the Ducks second line.
Yeah, I do like the Edmonton power play guys in this game. The Anaheim penalty kill is just absolutely awful. Like, I'm talking bottom 3, bottom 5 in the league. So I do like that Edmonton power play. You can just go with the top line. You get 2 out of the 3, and then add in Evan Bouchard if you don't want a super expensive Leon Draisaitl. So that's where I am with the Oilers. As mentioned, I do like that Anaheim second line as well. All right, we got one more game to get through real quick. Vancouver 2.7 implied goal total going into San Jose. The Sharks also have a 2.7 implied goal total. I don't know. I really do like that Sharks top line in this game. They're just coming in with a fair amount of ownership, coming in near 10%. I mean, that might be fine, but I just think at least it makes it a conversation. I'm not just going in slamming a whole bunch of San Jose one. I will say I'm not super high on Vancouver. We'll see. I think Quinn Hughes may be back tonight. That could be a little bit of a change. But San Jose typically has a good penalty kill, so I'm not sure I'll be too in on Vancouver. San Jose won for me. What do you got?
Yeah, I'm not super high in Vancouver either. I wish they were going to be higher owned like you normally are, because it'd be a much more fun fade. But like, I guess if you want to play Vancouver one, go for it. I mean, 3% for a fully correlated line, pretty cheap against the Sharks. Can never hurt anybody, or unless, like they could.
Good.
I do like that Sharks top line. Barabanov is what he is, but like, he's cheap enough and he's on the power play where like you might as well just full stack it and call it a day. I think if you leave him on, you're going to get that trio much lower owned than, Meyer at 12% and Hurdle at 10%, whatever it is. So I do like the Sharks top line. It's really about it. Like, if you want to do some Couture, Darlene, sure. But, both top lines in this game, but definitely favor Sharks top line.
Yeah. Just keep an eye on Quinn Hughes too. Like, if he comes back, he could be at very low ownership here tonight.
He was activated off the COVID list.
Okay, well, there we go. He could be low owned here tonight until lineup sites catch up. All right, we do have to get out of here. Josh, I'm going to ask you for your hat trick pick and your goalies. I actually like both goalies in that Vancouver San Jose game. Both Demko and Reimer, assuming Reimer starts. I also like Ilya Sorokin tonight for the Islanders. My hat trick pick is Patrick Laine. Who you got?
Obviously those goals, like Igor's, like just sticks out like a sore thumb. Obviously,
should go without saying Igor. Yeah.
I think Gibson's a nice pivot off him. You're gonna have to buckle your seatbelt for that ride, but that's fine. That's what you want to do in GPPs anyway. Get a high volume for 6,800. If you're spending up, yeah, Sorokin, I agree. That's really about it. Like there just isn't much there. You know what I mean?
Could take a wild stab on Craig Anderson.
Yeah, no thanks. My hat trick pick is gonna be Austin Matthews.
All right, there you go.
Might as well just go all in. Jessica, if you're watching, I'm sorry. Okay, I love him.
The heart wants what the heart wants. Am I right?
Yeah.
All right, Austin Matthews, your hat trick pick from Josh. Patrick Laine is my hat trick pick. We got to get out of here. NBA All-Star break starts tomorrow, which means the fun really starts in the NHL tomorrow. I believe we have a live before lock tomorrow.
We do.
So we aren't going to be on in the afternoon. We will be on just before the game starts. So check us out for our live before lock. For producer Mike, for our single entry assassin, Mr. Joshua Harris, I'm Michael Clifford saying good luck tonight, everybody, and we'll see you tomorrow.